We're live. We're live. Those rewatching, we're breaking down the big storms happening this week. So next week, whatever. So come on in. We're gonna let some people filter in here, and if you're rewatching, you can skip ahead past the intro part here, and we'll get started. How we doing, everybody? How we doing? I am currently trying to open chat, but my phone is not letting me. Let's go back here. YouTube, how are we doing? X is still not letting me open my own stream for whatever reason. Give me a second here as we get started. It is not letting me open my live on X, so I cannot see the chat on there, at least for the moment. I'm gonna turn my phone off and on, and let's just get started here. I can still see you guys if I go through here on X. If you have questions, where's my chat at? Right here. So I can still see if we do have a problem. I'll go through there to make sure that I can see you guys. So don't worry about not chatting. I'll look through here in case my phone does not let me. So we'll do that. But here's what we got going on. We got a couple systems currently, and I really think the one tomorrow, Monday night, is getting a little bit overlooked, in my opinion. I have not seen the GFS yet. I have no idea what it does. Oh, also, shout out Juan Soto for disappointing all Red Sox fans. Thought I mentioned that too. Oh, frick. Just hit my finger there on the table. That's karma. Um, but yeah, that was fantastic. Unrelated, but it was big news. Imagine getting $765 million. I'd play. Um, but here's we got regardless of who signs everywhere in baseball, we still got storms to follow. And I think the one on Monday, tomorrow night, is interesting in my opinion because we have a CAD at play here, and it's still not letting me open my X for whatever reason. I hope it's working for you guys on X that you can open it. For me, it's not letting me open it right now, which is unfortunate, but I can still get all my. Keep looking through here. So I got, yeah, YouTube and X will line up here. So enough money to control the weather. Yeah. Okay. Also, if you haven't yet, I've talked about it, but check out my Lake Effect Snowstorm Chase. Go check it out. It's doing. We got some little bit of traction, but keep watching. If you haven't watched it yet, go take a look. I think it's pretty cool. Breaks down some meteorology a little bit, just a little bit, and gives you perspective if you've never been into get into what it's like to be in one of those lake effect bands. So it's pretty cool in case you haven't seen it. But in regards to slide back here, slide it back here. Here we go. I am multitasking right now, so here's what we got on Monday. So we slide it back here Now it's open. There we go. We're good on next gen. All right, now I can sleep. Not literally, but we have here's what keeps me interested about tomorrow, about places further south. You've seen a couple of model runs, and oh damn, hell of a 500 setup there. Um, won't demonstrate what I want, but we have a high pressure. Um, we have a high pressure going on here, right? You can see it in these height lines dimming down, right? It's going to be about a 10:30, the time of the storm. But what continues to keep me intrigued about this, not only the fact that central and northern New England are going to be seeing snow, central New and northern New England are going to be seeing snow with this tomorrow night, but also there's a freezing rain threat going on for places farther south. I think potentially down into interior Mass, because models always underestimate the CAD. They always do, right? What is CAD? Cold air damming, meaning this high pressure here is our supply of cold air. It's really the only reason that places here are going to snow tonight. Otherwise, we're pulling all this warm air up with this system, and this cold air is going to meet it, and that's the only reason really places are seeing snow tomorrow night. Otherwise, this thing would have just kept shooting up and would have been rain all the way up. But we have this, right? We have our CAD signature in place here, and this is going to allow cold air to travel down, and it loves to get to the lower valleys first. And we can see that take place where, we're going to see this cold air travel down, and it may not get far enough south so that places can snow, but we could see a freezing rain threat potentially, in particular Massachusetts, because the high pressure, if you see where it's set up, it is further east. So places further east in the Northeast, have a better chance to be in it more. You see how we're raining all the way up here in the lakes, but we're snowing further south. That's a classic CAD signature right there, meaning cold air is sitting um, right under the high pressure, and it's able to travel there. So that's kind of what we got going on with tomorrow night. I appreciate everybody in the YouTube and on X. You don't mind leaving a like. It's greatly appreciated as we expand out here on YouTube this winter. But as I continue here, notice, you see that here, as a really, this rain snow line kind of holds tomorrow night, and give or take, where the thermals aren't great on the GFS, but it is demonstrating that the CAD, and this might be underdone, how our cold air might be able to hold. Look at our temperatures. Actually, let's go to Weather Bell. Let's go to Weather Bell, and let's slide to regions, and we're gonna go to back to the Northeast. I'm gonna pull up this latest GFS run. Boom, we have done that, and we're gonna take a look at the temperatures here on the GFS, and you'll see what I mean in a second. We're gonna go to 925, very close to the surface. And see how our 925s actually hold, and basically that 925 is a good line basically for where at least snow potential, right? This is our below freezing line at 925 millibars in the atmosphere, right? So that where you see that white meet the bluish purple and the red, that is where your 0 degree line is, at 925 millibars in the atmosphere, right? So imagine a vertical column of the atmosphere, right? And say towards the upper levels, you get to 500, 700, 850, and then 925, right? In the lower levels of the atmosphere, right? Imagine this vertical column here, and so this is going to allow, right? If we look at 925, that's very close to the surface, so it gives us an idea of how we'll be able to hold in the cold air. But also, we can just go to, sorry, slide it, lose it, yeah. We go to the surface. I don't like how it doesn't. Does this show it better? I like it better. I like the Celsius better because I can see the 0 degree line better. You can see here at the surface, right? Some places, though, right at the surface, right, really struggling to hold this a little bit. But again, cold air, right, the cold air damming, it likes to travel to the lower levels, right, that coldest air. So it likes to hold. So I think models might be underestimating at the surface how much cold air we hold here. And I think there's a potential for some, again, as the system continues to move north, right, the upper level energy is going to move right past us. So it's going to be hard, and then eventually it'll head out, right, because this high pressure is going to prevent it from just going all the way straight up and through. And we're going to see this storm kind of come up and pivot out somewhere. Maybe not that far, but it will come up in latitude as it is right now. You can go here. This is where our storm is currently producing heavy rainfall across the south, and also snow across far northern U.S. as well. And then this is going to move, right? This moves east northeast, and then that high pressure we have in place right up here to the north, it's going to hold off this thing from being able to come too far north, and then from here it starts to slide east. That rain snow line kind of holds, and up here they get a good accumulating snow event. Places further south maybe mixing, or seeing some flakes potentially. So, oh, thanks, John, for putting that. Yeah, there's the link to that lake effect video. I put in the description of the last live as well, and try to do it again tonight. Too bad the Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, it's not the same setup, right? If you go to Wednesday, right, that high pressure, you don't have a high pressure like that to work with, unfortunately. We'll talk about that one in a second. That's the big kahuna that people want to tackle right now. But this, to me, this is intriguing. This system is intriguing. We'll slide here, take a NAM, some of the thermals here. NAM is actually, which usually has better thermals. We'll go to 3K. I'm surprised that it doesn't have, freezing rain getting even further south. I wouldn't be surprised. You see how if this freezing rain threat here tomorrow evening is going to extend further south, and it's more right because cold air damming doesn't work. It doesn't go to the higher elevations, even though it shows. I think it's under. I think models might be underdoing. I could be wrong. Models might have a good handle. Which they never do, but sometimes they're right for the wrong reasons. I think it's rare that you see freezing rain. Is this sleet? I think it's freezing rain. Yeah, it's freezing rain. It's rare that you would see freezing rain hold in just higher elevations, which is that doesn't ever really make sense. Low level cold with likes to go to the lower levels. It's that simple. And so we will get a little bit of warm air advection though, so we will be able to get some pretty thumping snow just on the other side of that rain snow line, wherever that is. And don't be surprised if that rain snow line is even a little bit farther north as the system comes up, right? Because low level cold holds, right? But that doesn't mean somewhere in a little bit higher in the atmosphere maybe doesn't turn over. But I mean, looking at 925s, it looked like that wouldn't be too much of a concern because it's not a real strong low pressure system that's going to be pulling up a lot of it, right? You see how it's rather weak, um, and it's a bit of almost a transfer energy battle here, and a lot of this northern system gets entrained here into this system. So that's kind of what I look at for Monday night into Tuesday, tomorrow night into Tuesday, with this system where again, it kind of holds, and then that freezing rain that really persists. I really think much of Monday evening into Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning. All right, some light patchy freezing rain, especially as it moves out in some of these areas, is definitely something to keep an eye on here. And then this will kind of, right, low pressure drives east, and then we'll see snow across this area. So this is where I kind of get to start in terms of snow totals. What I'm starting to think here is there's definitely there should be a good 2 to 5, I think, across a lot of the area, with some places maybe being able to get 4 to 8. Just because of warm air advection event, you do get that cold air to meet that warm air. You get a little bit nice of a thermal gradient. Let's take a look actually at some of these soundings. I have not peeped yet. Let's take a look. Let's go here in New Hampshire. Not available. Fantastic. Let's go to HRR. Slide here to 0Z. And again, we talked about a sounding, right? Just that vertical column of the atmosphere. Basically what I drew out for you, just in much better fashion. I think the HRR demonstrates just a little bit better. This low level cold air making it even snowing here, and I think maybe some freezing rain will get a little bit further south. I think the HRR is demonstrating this. It's it's the highest resolution model we have at 1 kilometer, so it's going to be able to demonstrate that a little bit better, I think. But let's take a look, see if we can get a sounding here. Not available either for some reason. Huh. Let's refresh. Let's try again. I would love to get a sounding here. It'd be nice. Please. Not available. So it looks like soundings don't want don't want to happen. I'll take a GFS. Not available. Soundings are not available, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Did notice 0Z Bart. Shout out my man from Maine. GFS is tighter with the low and further west. Maybe a surprise tomorrow night. Potentially. I really think there could be an opportunity just because, right, since this we're not this cold air, right, it's not a really strong low pressure system that's going to be driving up here, and so we're not going to have an over expected low level warm air surge, in my opinion. Likely that was a little bit more of a threat with the last storm, not the Clipper but the one before that, where we were worrying about that a little bit more, and luckily we held off. We just enough, but here you have this high pressure system, and it is pulling a lot of warm air, but it's not super strong, so it's not continuously. That flow is really not pulling up so far from the south here into the southern United States, right? It's a smaller, weaker system, and it's a 1030 high, and it really just wants to kind of disregard it in some of these model runs. I think we hold here, and I think we could be looking at northern Mass potentially to get into this snow as well. So I would have loved the sounding here to see what. I guess we can go back to 18Z maybe have it. I don't mind going back to there. The system's not going to magically change. We get to NAM 3K. Yeah, does well with front end thumb. Yeah, I think I just in general, I want to see some of these soundings first. But the setup itself, that's what it kind of, that's the feel here. Did we get it? Hey, there we go. All right. Yeah, it is a bit of a warm. It is a bit of a warm surge there, in the mid to upper levels. That is New Hampshire. Let's take a look at Maine here. Right. Remember, a sounding is just a vertical snapshot of the atmosphere. For those that are maybe new. Let's see here. Not bad. Not a lot of lift here. That's an ugly snow sounding right there. I want to see Z700. Let's take a look. Some mid-level dynamics. Yeah, I think models might not only be underestimating. I think they might be underestimating the warm air clash we're gonna have. Might be underestimating that a little bit. The kind of dynamics we can create with that. This 0Z NAM was pulling everything way far north. It's possible you could be sleet here, right? You were close a little bit in some of these soundings, but you weren't close enough, in my opinion. At least early on, you weren't to be able to sleet in or freezing rain or both. To me, I look at these 925s, and this suggests they're going to hold the whole time. The GFS too, and NAM does like to over amplify sometimes on these events too. Really likes to pull in sometimes the warm air too far north. And to me, I don't think this low pressure system is strong enough and is going to have enough pull. You can kind of see here in the thermals. It's really not pulling off enough warm air. You can see to really for me to look at this and go, um, it's a concern. It's a concern to worry about too much warm air coming into the surface, but lower levels of the atmosphere as well. So I'll kind of rock with that. The soundings aren't, again, it'll probably be a bit of a wetter snow again, um, or I guess different from the Clipper, but similar to the one before that, probably be a bit of a wetter snow. Still not available. None of the OZ soundings are available on Tidbits apparently, but I would expect that we see some uh, again like a general probably southern New Hampshire, more of a 1 to 3 inch thing, and then further north, it's central southern New Hampshire about 2 to 5. Once we start getting um, further north here, I think some of those, you'll get big wet flakes, and you'll be able to accumulate during the evening and nighttime hours. Um, and then this will move into Maine, and I think there's some isolated, um, some possible swaths here of 4 to 8 inches of snow, maybe more like a 4 to 7. Just because of duration, you're not going to be in it for too long. So maybe some isolated 4 to 7 once you start getting up here farther into Maine, but probably more of a 2 to 5 ish, probably for the most part, just because how you could get more of a 4 to 7 ish, some 4, 5, 6s across this area and further south. I guess we can extend this is if models are underestimating warm air advection, the um, the gradient that will be created for that, and also if models are underestimating the cold air too with the CAD signature. Not only does that build more cold air farther south, but also you get a colder column as well. So that's the benefit as well for these places, especially in the lower levels from around 850 to the surface. You'll notice it'll be a little bit colder, and you get better ratios to accumulate more. So that's kind of your path there. Otherwise, I would favor some of those 4, 5, 6, 7 possible totals to be farther. Um, favor more up here where this storm will kind of sit for a little bit. Just more hours of snowfall in places like here. But so yeah, so that's kind of what I got for this system, and then slide here to the next one. Let's see. I've not looked at GFS yet. Let's see what it shows. Well, like we kind of looked at it. So here's, wow, that was good depth on that one. That deeper? Not too much. So right here we have, right here's, right, a little piece of the polar vortex up here. Here's your kind of your Arctic air with the system. Again, it's kind of shedding off part of that Monday system, and it gets sheared out across this area. So all this flow kind of gets out ahead, and it gets almost a bit antifrontal. But what we're going to see here is we are going to see this kind of more consolidate this energy, and we're going to see an upper level low develop here. And really, basically, wherever this upper level low really sets up, um, see that snake tongue almost where it kind of opens up? That's where you're going to see heavy snowfall with this system. On the other side, you're going to have big wind likely, right? You're pulling all this warm air up here, and it's going to come north. It's going to bring heavy rainfall and big time wind in eastern New England. So that's kind of the threat with this system. This elevation will matter for some across upstate New York, potentially. Exactly where, again, we're still a few days out here with details, but you can kind of see the GFS, what it does here on the P-type map, right? The pretty colors, potentially on the backside. You could get some heavy snow on some of these higher elevations here in Vermont into the Berkshires. We'll keep an eye on that. I'm not going to go too specific into those kind of details, just more synoptic-based details for now with what we got going on. There's the GFS, right, and here is the euro. Right, you can kind of see the difference. The difference between these two: euro, GFS, GFS, euro, right? It's actually not too different actually now, at least from OZ to 18Z. It was a little bit different. We've seen a little bit more, but right, we have big eastern ridge here. There was a time ago where a couple days ago where I was like, keep an eye on it just in case. But this eastern ridge it has no plans on trying to go really anywhere, holding up very nicely. And then our western ridge too, kind of just letting where our energy dropped here over, right? This, right, you need to move this a few hundred miles east to have a shot at a snowstorm here. And again, look at this, right? All this energy getting out ahead, all this precipitation out here, right? All this convection, really unable to consolidate further. So really, I look at this um, firsthand, I'd be like, dang, this thing is gonna ride up here, um, and it'd be a big snowstorm for like Ohio almost. But we could see that happen just based on where the trough is setting and how amplified we are. I would look at it and say we're going to see an upper level low develop out over Pennsylvania and New York. But really, what's going to happen, or it does, but um, we see the low pressure a little bit tighter. But low pressure system, as of now, is forecast to be somewhere potentially in Hudson Valley to New England. Slide here. Right, you see that again, euro's a little bit more west, and one of the big differences between these two models right now is we look at the euro, is it really is unable to consolidate this stuff further south, which is surprising for the euro, really. Euro usually loves to do this more than the GFS, so that's kind of a red flag immediately with the euro. Is it really struggles to consolidate, because I would look at this 500 and it's not all that different than the GFS, but it really does struggle to consolidate further south. And what this, again, when you do that, all this kind of gets lost out ahead in front, and you're not able to bring as much cold air into your system as well. So it makes it kind of a less impressive a storm and more widespread rain versus the GFS. Notice the difference here. I see how we have a more consolidated area right here in our upper levels right here, and so this area can get a pretty big snowstorm. Well, this area gets strong wind, especially in eastern New England. And up the coast too, potentially Carolinas, up into Delmarva could get some strong winds too, but the strongest looks to be where this low pressure system really starts taking off, farther up here for Maine and eastern New England just in general. Take another LES. I will not be taking another ride. I actually went up. I didn't go up there even for the LES, but I said, while I'm up here, I might as well. So that's kind of that is why I went to the last system, Lake Effect Snowstorm. I won't be doing that this time, but and take a look there. GFS, Euro, right? It's big difference. Big difference. Clearly a more consolidated area of energy, which is really surprising. Really surprising for the, in my opinion, for the euro to be less amplified, especially with a big storm system like this with a bunch of energy where the GFS would love to share this out. Euro, not so much. And the GFS and the euro are extremely similar. Look at this. Extremely similar. But euro on the P-type map is a lot different. So the euro can have this bias too. The GFS is not a lone model in terms of doing this. So I've seen the euro have convective feedback issues before, which I think this kind of is just a little bit. I mean, there's no reason typically, so that's kind of just a red flag I would look at, and I would lean GFS right now in terms of looking overall. You can see the Canadian. I'm sure it's middle ground again. It's actually different than gets that going further south. It is kind of the middle ground again. Canadian has literally been the middle ground for between every system and wrong every system. So just an idea here, but regardless, I mean, right? We get a strong low pressure system develops here. Regardless, big Canadian snowstorm up here in this area. Regardless of what happens here in the U.S. And then notice how tight, right? We have this ridge out here, right? We have high pressure that comes in behind it too. So it gets windy and cold air comes in on the backside. You can see here at 492 height line, and then we also get really windy here on the eastern side. We have this gradient here, and we have this strong low pressure system, and all of this warm air comes surging up, right? Will help mix some of these winds down to the surface more efficiently, and we'll be able to see a bit of a strong impact wind event. It's hard to say exactly how strong. Models tend to really struggle with this part, just with inversions above the atmosphere and um, just mixing. It really does struggle, and what allows to happen is we can see some real strong wind systems. These kind of setups are prototypical for real strong wind um, across New England, and especially eastern New England. Um, get almost a convective line of thunderstorms, potentially without the thunder. It would be hard to say right now. The soundings aren't working, so I couldn't tell you. But uh, do have, yeah. So we'll be able to get some pretty strong wind gusts. But we can give an idea. As if you look at the wind gusts here, um, looking at them earlier, there's going to be some pretty hefty winds, damaging. There's going to be damaging wind potential with this. Euro is kind of just offshore, but again, different different evolution of what happens at the surface with the Euro. You have to remember as well versus the GFS. So that affects directly what happens with some of those wind gusts. God Church, what up? How we doing? Yep, shout out John. He's the man. He's the man. So let's slide here to wind, surface. Eastern U.S. I just want some snow for Christmas. What do you think? It's possible. It's possible. I don't think mid to late month will be as bad as people think, but I tweeted that out earlier today. We'll keep a look. That is a hell of a GFS run right there. Look at the difference from, again, don't take these verbatim, these values, but look at that. Brought some of those big winds even further west. Right? That's all 60 mile an hour, right? 70, 80 plus mile an hour wind gusts right there. Right? So it's just highlighting that there is, right, with these, you always kind of got to take off like 5 to 10 miles per hour because they're never as strong as modeled, sometimes more. Um, you got to take off more than what gets modeled. But, it does illustrate, right, there's going to be a pretty big wind threat that accompanies this. And even if we take a look here for people that get snow, 35, 40 mile per hour wind gusts, like this is during the storm currently, snowing. See that? So potential blizzard-like conditions, maybe possible. This area here, possibly some blizzard-like conditions if we do end up getting snow to occur. And I kind of call it a high risk, high reward because you're probably going to be a bit of a wetter snow in this scenario. You're not going to have great thermals, but you are going to have great dynamics, and you are going to have a great situation, right? It's all about gradients. Thermal gradients is huge. Where that cold air, we're meets that warm air that we're pulling real good moisture feed. We're pulling from here, and it's going to be a strong system too, dynamically driven with strong mid levels that are going to be developing, especially further north here. I think some there is some heavy snow potential, potential blizzard-like conditions too. If we see 35, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. I love when snow knocks out my power, so I don't have to do any homework. Um, there was something gritty. I always embraced it. Now I was never rooting for the power, but there was always gritty when the snow when the power does go out. So I always kind of embrace it. I like those challenges. Kind of like Joe Mazzulla, if you know who that is, the Celtics coach. But um, I love yeah. I mean, what do I think? I don't want the power to go out. I like I I prefer not to sleep in the cold at night. That cold at least. But here, this wouldn't be a snow driving out the power. This is going to be wind potential for power outages here. If we go to surface, so we go to wind. I mean, that was a big run for wind gusts right here again, right? And then even Carolinas have a wind threat too, right? 35 to 45 plus mile per hour gusts here in eastern North Carolina, even down into South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, and um, down further south. So you see the slides all the way up to Delmarva. So exactly where this upper level low kind of comes north here, there is a high impact wind event that potentially again knocks some of these off a little bit, but that low level jet gets cranking. We're pulling up all this warm air to help mix some of these winds down better to the surface. And you can look at the temperatures here. We're gonna get maybe 50s, 60s, 2 meter Fahrenheit. Here we go. You can see that. Look at that pulling in. But look here, upstate New York, right? We're 30 degrees, and here we're what 65 maybe. It's a 35-degree change in temperature across a couple hundred miles there. So it just gives an idea that there's going to be some good snow potential out here too. Maybe thunder snow, maybe. Gotta throw it out potentially. Definitely an interesting shout out Cam. Definitely an interesting high wind setup here. My main concern is temps reaching the low 60s, which is usually a strong signal for efficient mixing, um, like the storm last December. Also, several hundred uh, MUK bomb models, so should be interested to see if convection is involved. Yeah, I was talking about it. Maybe some thunderstorm potential. Maybe it's possible, right? Still early December too. I guess mid-December almost at this point. It's this December 12th, this day. I'm thinking of today. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, we're gonna get pretty warm here. 60s, even 70s get mixed up into the Delmarva. So you see those high 60s, low 70s potentially. Not quite Delmarva, but into Virginia potentially. So we'll see how much. Typically with storms like these, we're not gonna have a problem pulling up all this warm air up and send it our way. So say goodbye to your snowpack here in southern New England, Hudson Valley, eastern Hudson Valley, depending on what happens. We'll see. Hudson Valley could flip back. Hudson Valley could flip back. We'll keep an eye on that. So this is not set in stone, but somewhere again, this could be farther east too. So we'll keep an eye. If we develop this, or our trough sits in a little bit more, and we developed this upper level low gets going a little bit further east, then this allows potentially on the backside more places to get involved across eastern New York and especially Berkshires and um, across Vermont as well. When in doubt, don't do homework. Just hope for the day off. Fun gamble. Bad advice, Sean. Bad advice. We are a positive. We are a positive channel here. Always do your homework, kids. Always do your homework. I can't say I always did, but always do your homework. I hate homework and love snow, so that's the best combo. Yeah, nothing was like a snow day. Nothing was like a snow day. Did I have snow days? I don't have snow days anymore. I'm past that. I used to, yeah. Snow days were snow days were the best, especially the big ones. The multi-day ones too were awesome. Nothing. Also, I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, a storm that really wasn't supposed to do that much and did, and you ended up with like a delay the next day. Oh, That was also awesome because then it was like you either had shorter classes uh, or you had less classes that day. So that was always that was always cool too. I enjoyed the delays a lot. But yeah, so I pull up this warm air. The warmer you get, the more we can mix down the stronger winds to down to the surface. So and more efficiently, I should say, it can mix down those stronger wind gusts, and that's why you kind of see some of those 70, 80 plus mile per hour wind gusts on. Go back to here, surface wind. Boom. Yeah. And then cold air comes crashing in. Cold air comes crashing in after, and that allows for potentially some of this air to flash freeze. From experience, it doesn't always flash freeze as well. It is oftentimes difficult. Um, the wind can kind of help with that in that sense. Um, so possible flash freeze, especially for areas that kind of get slushy stuff too, that are stay colder in western New England and Hudson Valley, North Jersey, but we do pull in a lot of cold air here on the backside. If we um, go to air temperature, you can see here that's just above the surface. We'll go to surface. Slide here. Temperature. Let's go anomalies. Why not? You see, we do get about 5 to 10 degrees below average here on the backside. Even colder in the Midwest. We get 10 to 15 degrees below average, and much of the eastern U.S. will be cold later this week after this storm moves through. What's my all-time favorite storm? That's 2015. 2015. I'll show you. I posted it last night. This band right here is my favorite storm of all time. It's also the most snow I've ever seen before in a system. It's over 32 inches of snow. This band just sat over me for hours. Hours. Boom. This is my favorite storm of all time. I post this thing like almost like once every 2 months. I have all that radar scope access, so I love going back in the archives and checking them out. That is my favorite storm of all time. Like, let's see. Unexpected delays were the best. Yeah, I love those. Very sharp warm front. One Wednesday morning. Wonder if there's an icing risk there with the overrunning. Yeah, I was just talking about that. Yeah, it's there is a threat for that because we do we'll go to actual temperatures um, as we slide here. As it moves through, you can see we do get pretty cold. I think more of that icing threat would be again focused here. You can see here Fahrenheit to show it right. That's just the 0 degree. The 0 degree line shows up so much better though on Celsius here on Weather Bell. But you do see we get into the 20s and teens. Um, on Thursday we get into boom. Check this out again. Moves through, and then yeah, we do get lake effect on the backside. So it moves through, and Thursday night maybe, depending on how much rain there is. Let's go to surface. 2 meter Fahrenheit temperature. And so yeah, that Thursday evening there could be a risk for flash freeze. But again, it's a little bit delayed. It's a little bit delayed. So take a look, see how much rainfall is being forecasted on this model. Again, it's just one. This is I'm just using the GFS kind of just as a general idea. We'll get more specific details as we get closer, especially after the tomorrow storm moves through. We'll be able to get some clearer details. Surface precipitation. I mean, that's a lot of rain if that's the case. That's a widespread, you know, that's a good swath of 2 to 4 inches, 2 to 3 inches, and a massive area of 1 to 3 inches of rain. But if you are snow out here, look at the QPF you have to work with. A lot of QPF. Just QPF is just total precipitation. So there is a lot to work with out here in these areas, out here in central and western New York and Pennsylvania. Plus the snowpack as well for some people, right? This is add on, so there might be a flooding risk. There might be a flooding risk with this too, because a lot of it's going to come in a short amount of time as that line, that convective line comes through. That's really where your most rainfall is going to be. It takes its sweet time coming through as well. It's there for a few hours, so it's going to be some real heavy rainfall that moves through. This is not precipitation type either. This is just regular radar. This is type here on the run. Not that it matters. Again, some of these models too will show it switch on the backside. I would always take the under on these. These tend to not you just don't have enough, you're not well saturated enough in the column to oftentimes get enough precipitation to get snow on the backside here, because you have all this dry air that comes in from the backside and kind of eats away at this oftentimes. So sometimes it is at higher elevations, it's more doable. Um, but at lower elevations, especially, it is just in general, it's harder to try to get snow on backside, like antifrontal snow. So don't rely on that. But then after, again, we turn on the LES machine yet again, and then we'll see after that. I think there's a lot of there's not a lot of clarity. Um, I think there's a lot to still be told about the mid-month. I think we stay. I think we're definitely gonna get warmer especially over this next week here. Um, but again, within that, we get cold. We get colder Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night. We get cold, and so like even within these warm stretches here, there's still cold air to work with. But we are gonna have a little bit of a problem with the Pacific starting to turn on a bit, and with warm air surging through there, and also a little bit of a southeast ridge problem potentially too. So this is not an upcoming going to be a favorable storm pattern for winter weather across, especially like this region here. Not really. You could even slide this back here. It's just trying to draw a straight line. Not a favorable pattern, for these areas. I-95 just northwest. Not a favorable pattern over the next like 5 to 10 days for potential snowstorms, and likely warmer too. We can take a look. Temperature 925. So you're right, colder Friday, even Saturday. We're still even Saturday we're still close to average. If we slide here to, or is that? Let me get to freaking multi-height surface temperature. What is wrong with me? Here we go. Even Saturday, we're still around average, if not below average. Let's go to Saturday. Let's go to anomaly temperature. Yeah, we're still about average, likely on Saturday, or maybe slightly below. We'll see what this is. Once you start getting beyond 4 or 5 days, even with temperature, the pattern, it's get a little bit hard, but you can see then we probably get warmer. Well, we're going to mix out some warmer air that's going to have to come in. But again, it's not really locked into place. You see even with warmer temperatures, there'll still be storm opportunities that we could get close to. But we are, in general, we are going to be warmer. Like we just had our colder pattern. Now we're going to get warmer. We're not really going to be avoiding that. Hate to break it to my snow lovers out there, but that's just the reality. It's how it works too. You don't stay cold the whole winter. Look how warm we get on. I mean, is it 38 or 20? 28. Nearly 30 degrees above average we're going to get. So, right, these, um, sometimes how the month works, just these single day events, right? They skew the averages, right? They don't, it's not like it's deception or anything. It's not how it works. Just stats are stats. That's the reality. And we're going to get really warm in these eastern areas, especially. We'll see, right? This could come tighter depending on what happens, or expand further out. And then that what would also do is we'd bring these stronger wind gusts, continue to come further west, get more people involved. You actually, you actually really don't want this because this makes a more widespread power outage event, and it's more concerning for more people. So that you could get, you go to, well, we go to surface, go to winds again, and you see that. I mean, you don't want these to continue to come further west. And it just, and also the rainfall too. If you continue to bring more, you could have a real big flooding problem, especially with these higher elevation areas. You get 20 to 30 degrees above average. You start getting into 60. You start getting into the 60s in these areas with 3 inches of rain plus the snowpack that's there. That's a real big flooding problem for some of those higher terrain areas that have that currently have 6 to 12 plus inches of snow. A lot of these higher elevations have a lot more than that because they've cashed in on all the interior events that have gone on and maximize the light events too. So the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. If we push this further west, um, the storm system, we amplify this a little bit more than what's being modeled right now. Again, we allow stronger wind gusts to come in, more power outage concern across this area, and then we get 1 to 3 inches of rain comes up with 50s and 60s, and these just melt away the snowpack too. These events melt it. I don't know if y'all remember the Christmas Eve windstorm, Christmas Day. Was it 2 years ago? Was it 3 years ago? I forget. It was 2 or 3 years ago. And it was after, oh no, it was to 2020. That's when it freaking was. It was 4 years ago. And a lot of people had a hell of a lot of snow. And that thing melted that snowpack so fast. I might have still had like 10 inches of snow. We held that snowpack great for like a week after. in 2020, and then that day came, and man, that I mean, I got like 16 inches of snow, and I held like 10 to 12 inches of snowpack for a while, for like a week straight, and then that thing came through, and it was bare ground the next day, the next night. So these events come through and they take snowpack, and then you combine that with 1 to 3 inches of rain, you can get a pretty big flooding problem. Yeah, it has. It has. It kind of a little bit of windshield wiper effect. Came west, came back east a little bit more, and now we've kind of settled in the middle. So I'll be curious to see how models handle this over the uh, next 24, 48 hours. It's going to be a strong system. I mean, 500 setup is there. I mean, that's a real strong board there at 500, no doubt about it. You're pulling in a lot of cold air too, and you're pulling up a lot of warm air. Yeah, it has, yes, it's 48 hours. So so yeah, always the best late Christmas. And yeah, it was not a white Christmas 4 years ago for sure. The exact opposite. I guess technically it was. I think technically it was for a lot of people because it's 1 inch of snow on the ground and it was melting, but it was there for a lot of people. 7 a.m., 1 inch of snow. I don't know why it's that specific, but it is. So yeah, so this comes through, and then let's see what the Canadian. I kind of looked. I want to see what the Canadian has for after. Not in Euro time yet. Yeah, I mean, you just get potentially this ridging really gets far too far north here, and it's a lot of warm air to mix out in the atmosphere. But if you can get the right high latitude, you see your cold air is still right. It's not locked away. Your cold air is still like there to work with, but you need the right blocking setup. Right, we're not tucking it away. We're not losing it. It's not like we have our polar vortex is extremely strong. It is strengthened again. Especially after these stretching events. But um, we could watch for a polar vortex disruption later this month. It's something to keep an eye on. Some models have showed that, so that we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Yes, December 17th. Awesome. December 24th. Ugh. Nice welcome from Mama with my move to Maine. Yes, December 17th. I remember that all too well. Ironically, December uh, January 27th, 2015, biggest storm I've ever seen. Um, but I kind of went to bed at like 12 that night, and then I woke up at like 7. I decided to get some sleep. I was still a little naive back then, a decade ago, but wasn't I just wasn't as into whether I was now. And yeah, so I slept through that. So I don't know how heavy the snowfall rates were, or if I got thunder snow that night. Um, but I do know that December 17th is the strongest snowfall rates I've ever recorded before, and they were equivalent to 6 inches per hour for about 20-25 minutes. And that was the band I got. I think I got over almost 4.5 inches that hour. So that was the most intense band I've ever seen that night. And it set up farther north. That band set up right over here. And just dumped 2 to 4 feet. Boom. Formed, pivoted right out here. Boom. 2 to 4 feet of snow, just like that. 10 to 20 inches for everybody else. That's an example of a widespread snowstorm right there. That's kind of your path for that. I always like taking a peek here in the long range. Just like peeking. I don't really put too much weight in anything, but come on, laptop. There we go. Rain? Yeah. Oh, snow. Son of a gun. Smaller event. But yeah, I like peeking out. I like peeking out in the long range. Um, Always, even though I don't put any weight on there for something like truly happening. I just like looking out. Always. See the run through. Are there any consistencies from run to run or multiple runs? Something to keep an eye on always. Okay, we got 2 storms on track this week. I guess that's 12, so we can say the one that comes later tonight, technically tomorrow night. I still count, even though it's 12. I still count. It's tonight until it hits 12 for West Coast tomorrow night, and then we get one Wednesday, Thursday. We get another one Wednesday, Thursday is the big prize. I don't know if it's a prize for some people. It'll be pretty dreadful. Very non-winter like weather. If you have snowpack now and you live here, say goodbye to it. Not gonna make if you still have snowpack by then and it hasn't melted, say goodbye to it. You might a lot of people might say goodbye to it tomorrow night, but I still think this is gonna win out more. And I think much of Massachusetts is gonna be either freezing rain or snow. I'm gonna go against. I like going against the models when I think I'm right. I don't prefer to go against the models. I prefer if the models were more accurate more of the time, but they're not, unfortunately. So yeah, that sums up what we got going on right now. We got questions, or we got comments, concerns, problems, venting. What do we got? I'm all ears. I'm all ears. Both chats. Yeah, my all-time favorite storm, 2015. 2015 is my all-time favorite storm. Again, I've posted these before, but I do have reanalysis streams. We go live. We go to live. Oh, we got 2 new subscribers. If you're still here, I appreciate it very much. I'm telling you, we're expanding. We're expanding. I mean, we're almost 40 new subs since October, since in the last month and a half or so. Let's see. Where do I have these? You can see all the. If you guys ever like have a, I like doing this for other people's too. Sometimes if you guys ever curious about looking back at past storms, um, you can pretty much find all my lives like going back here. You can see I've watched. I mean, I like going back and seeing kind of what happened, but I have reanalysis streams that are out there for Blizzard of 2015, Blizzard of 2022, and I think did I do 20? I think it was more of a tweet. I think I have three. Yeah, 2021 it was. So I did some. I wanted to, but um, I couldn't. I couldn't. But I do have reanalysis streams. It's like kind of the meteorology. No, no worries, Jack. Let me read it in a second. Your question. I'll break it down, but I do have Blizzard of 2022, Blizzard of 2015, and Blizzard of 2021. That you know, Blizzard of 2021 has gotten some views recently, huh? Interesting. So yeah, I do have all these out there. If you ever want to go take a look at, sometimes the days leading up, well, the last uh, 2.5 years now, they're out there. So if you ever want to go take a look, all my live streams that we've done, they're out there. So yeah. Let's see. Sorry for jumping in the chat late. Don't ever be sorry for jumping in the chat late. But what factors leading you to go against the models? The CAD, big time, big time. Oh yeah, here's the Clipper totals, by the way. You can see the lake effect enhanced here too. We'll take a look at those after. I forgot to talk about that. I got snow last night. Yeah, I'll show you the video after. I did get snow last night, which was awesome. Fan formed right on top of me, but we have a high pressure. We have cold air to work with actually with the system, believe it or not. And I think models are underestimating the low level cold air with the CAD. Slide back here to continental United States of America, best country in the world. Let's slide here. I mean, you got a 1030 high, 1033 too at the time. You have a strengthening high pressure system that is models love to push these out and don't let the cold air hang on long enough. They always underestimate the CAD, and also it's holding more for some reason in the higher elevations on these models and not lower elevations. That's not how CAD works. CAD goes in the lower levels, so you don't really get you don't get an upper advantage here for elevation with a CAD signature. You just don't. In fact, the lower levels are sometimes favored more. You're able to hold cold air better. So I think this is going to allow for. It's going to be hard to say if it's snow, is that you're going to have slim margins. So I'm going to go with frozen precipitation. That is what I'm going to go with for now. And I think more places across Mass could even get into Connecticut, maybe too. Far northern Connecticut. If we're really underdoing it, we'll see with the thermals. I'll kind of track that tomorrow. But it's a strengthening high pressure system is the key. Strengthening high pressure system. Um, you see how it pops and strengthens, right? Ends up getting into 1036 eventually. And so I'm curious to see too, maybe you can get, maybe that high pressure is able to hold off and make it a little bit more difficult for this thing to cut. Just maybe. It's likely going to get pushed out after that, but to what extent? How much can it hold in effect? So that's kind of why I lean uh, against models suggesting that frozen precipitation is not going to be able to make it into Massachusetts here. I'll disagree with that, and even here too, up in the Northeast Mass. Right, cold air damming does not discriminate among elevation. Does not favor higher elevations more. Not how it works. So I think models might be a little bit wrong in terms of that with that system. Hopefully that answers your question, Jack. But let me slide here. Yeah, I did get and I did get snow. Let's see, that 23 in Haven, New York. We did get good lake effect snow last night too. Uh, Orwell, New York here. Yeah, look at this. Big time snow. Haven, New York is not Holland. But yeah, so with that, you can see we talked about the Clipper. You know, the region I favored was not hard to pick out. Not really hyping myself up, but this was the favored region that we talked about for for snow. And then I thought here would be like half inch to an inch and a half, but mostly half inch to an inch. And yeah, we did get a little bit of overperformance in here. Some spots. Some of this lake enhancement I think helped these areas because really with the setup we were continuing to lose some of those best dynamics farther north. We really trended more unfavorably. So that's why there was like all these totals instead of being like an inch to 2 inches were a half inch or like a quarter inch to 3/4 of an inch for the most part. But up here, we had a bunch of 1 to even 4 inch totals, a bunch of 2 to 4 inch totals up here. And then Western Mass made out a little bit better, obviously, as well. I came up with 0.7 inches. I'm up to 4.1 inches of snow on the year, so not bad. 4.1 inches gets the job done so far for December. Not bad through 9 days, 8 days now. Helped the snowpack, but that melted right away today. So I lost it. I lost it pretty fast, unfortunately. Let's go to maps. See anything interesting here? Anything? Any long range hits? Almost there. No. All right. There's no clear cut. I think. Oh, we get 9.6. Dang. 9.6. 9.15. This thing's gonna get strong. I wonder if this thing disrupts. We see a polar vortex disruption. You know, I'd keep an eye on in here too. You get high pressure that comes in. If you get a strong high pressure to come in here, but again, problem is you do have high pressure overhead with this thing, makes it difficult. So you can keep an eye on maybe this time. Keep an eye on this weekend, next weekend, because you will have Blair out ahead to work with. So again, not the most favorable pattern we're heading into, but we're not we're not canceling out opportunities for snow, especially as we're moving more into season two. Just more cold air on average too, right? The sun angle, the tilt, right? The consistent average of just consistently getting colder, right? Day by day average, right? Consistently moving towards getting colder, even when you're not in a, even when you don't have a favorable pattern. As long as you're not in a terrible pattern, you can like stretch. I'm not talking about 4 weeks. I'm talking about like a terrible like 1 week stretch that makes it hard. Like next week, really difficult. But even then, almost. So there's gonna be some. There will be. I think you might have to wait till later month to get later in the month potentially where we could look at This cutter might help reload the pattern eventually. What do I mean by reload the pattern when I say that? Let's go up here. Let's go up here. Appreciate you all in the YouTube chat and X chat. If you're in the YouTube chat, consider leaving a like, because why not? Why not? If you like the content, I appreciate it. If not, I'll keep going. I appreciate you all, though. Much love as always. So let's go to regions North America. Boom. What do I mean by reload the pattern? If you saw that on X today, or if you saw it, it doesn't matter. What I mean by that is oftentimes these big cutters, and they get up there, they get up into the Atlantic, and they mess things up. They can mess up here. They start getting up into the polar vortex. They cut all the way up north, right? Oftentimes when you get a cutter, you don't have really much high latitude blocking. So these things, boom, they just travel their way up, and they kind of disrupt the cold air that's being held up here, and oftentimes you get disruption of cold air and the polar vortex, and it gets sent down to the United States. And they vary in strength and intensity and duration all the time. We just had some cold air from the polar vortex recently. You can see here, this is from the polar vortex. It's coming down with this next system, right? TPV here. Such a deep trough, man. Such a shame. Such a shame this couldn't be a few hundred miles east. Such a shame. So unfortunate. Man, when I see big troughs on models, man, I get excited. That song, I like big troughs, and I cannot lie. I love when I see them. So yeah, so maybe we can get a potential polar vortex disruption later, and we'll see. We'll see. Maybe create some opportunities for snow later in the month and into early January. So beyond, I would say beyond the next like 10 to 14 days, it's still pretty. I'd say that beyond like the next 2 weeks, it's still pretty unclear where we're heading in the future. Anybody that says like winter's over or whatever, again, I say it every time, but they don't really know. I don't really know. They don't really know for sure. Again, so many people. I've said this hundreds of times before. It takes one storm. I-95 realistically, or non-interior places, it takes one storm. Winter of 2022, Boston got one big storm, and that made their winter. New York City, 2021, they had one big storm. Pretty much made their winter. They had more, right? But you're going to get like little snow events throughout the winter, for the most part. Unless you're DC, then some winters you can't. Or sometimes Philly too. But New York City rarely doesn't go a winter without seeing some sort of small snow event. And Boston always does. Same with Providence, Hartford too. Springfield. Just really takes one big storm. Sometimes that one big storm is for this area. And then there's another one later that's for this area. We saw that happen 2022, I think. I think it was 2022. Or was it 2023? That big mid-Atlantic, we had like a 12 to 18-inch snowstorm here. It was just for here. There's almost nothing up here. There's like thunder snow here. I mean, it was a really good snowstorm for these places. Delmarva was a widespread 12 to 18. And that made their winter. just like that. So like temperature can be easier, but snowfall, I'm telling you, people that make winter snowfall forecasts are just grabbing out of their butt. They have, I'm telling you, they really don't. They say they do, and it's not an attack. Anybody that does to make the forecast, it's not like a shot of disrespect at them. It's not. I know it sounds like it, but it's not. It's just that you really don't know. You're making a forecast. You're making a prediction based on the information you have, but it's level 100 near impossible. It's so hard. It's like trying to. It's impossible. It is dang near impossible. It's like trying to pick the Super Bowl winner when there's no clear favorite, right? Sometimes there's teams that are favorites, right? And as you get closer, right, it becomes clearer who some of those better teams are. But even then, you don't know, right? Don't take like for this year as verbatim. Just in general, like it's just you just don't know. You really don't know. It gets so specific. Like a lot of times, your margins might be like let's open this bad boy up. Let's open this bad boy up. This one. This one, I still hear about it from people all the time in Eastern Mass. I screwed up their forecast so bad. I knew it was possible. I knew it was possible, and actually, they snowed. It did not accumulate. Um, their margins were so slim here. You want to talk about making your winter? This one storm right here. Oh, here's our chat from here. Oh, that was a snowfall forecast. Fine here. It's just your margins get so slim, and it can make or break your winter. Where are the snowfall totals at? Where are they at, Brady? Where did you put them? There we go. I mean, look at this. There's 2 feet of snow almost here. There's like 20 inches here, and right here it was like 3 inches. I mean, you went like 50. There was a 15-mile gradient, and it was a 20-inch difference in snow. This is the difference for these people here. This 15 miles right here is the difference between them having an average and a below average winter right there. So like this is the margins I'm talking about. Oh, I appreciate it, God Church and High. Appreciate it. These margins get so slim during the winter, and like people get all obsessed with like trying to make these exact snowfall forecasts, and your margins get so slim, and it irritates me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. That like a lot of people have arrogance and a little bit of ego, which is fine. But when you're talking about such specific numbers, it's impossible for me to look at this and go like it's so clear. It's not. So people that say the winter's over, winter's blah 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 blah, all that, they're just blowing smoke. I promise you. It doesn't mean you're gonna get a bunch of snow. It doesn't mean that either. I always preface it by saying that. It doesn't mean that. But like there's there's always gonna be opportunities, even within some of the worst patterns, especially at the end and the beginning. You always get opportunities for. And I mean, like look at it. I mean, like Philadelphia here getting 8 to 12 inches, made their winter with this storm. Philadelphia doesn't see a lot of snow. You can look it up. Philadelphia average snowfall. You're gonna give me a range, seriously? Annual average of snowfall of 22 inches. Okay. They you see 22 inches of snow in winter on average, and they just got like half their total in this one storm. New York City, no, I don't care about that. No, go away. Uh, New York City got like 20 inches of snow here. Just made their whole winter. That's literally what they average. So it's just like my points remain. Like interior, one storm doesn't make or break your winter, especially out here too. But like a lot of these I-95 places, it's oftentimes one storm, sometimes two. Sometimes two is the difference between you having a decent winter or an amazing winter. So when I look at these stuff, like I try to explain to people, like it doesn't getting so caught up over like what these long range model runs like over like a 7 day they like these 7 day like snapshots of like the average height anomalies are like not anywhere close to representative that are like 7 weeks out do not matter that much. They do not matter when it comes to winter. I'm telling you, they do not really matter. There are so many specifics that happen within a winter that if you get caught up in those like specific model runs for over such a long period of time, they're well, first of all, they're going to be wrong. The question is how much, and oftentimes they're so wrong. Like models did not pick up on our December cold snap until like 2 weeks before. They just did not, and that's just how it works. So we're going to be a little bit more transient. We'll be likely above average temperature wise for the better part of the next like 7 to 10 days at least, and then from there we'll see. Even within that, it doesn't mean you can't see a storm, snow. Can't rule it out completely. I would say I would lean against I-95, but you're still gonna have some cold to work with. Like look at that. Canadian really brings in that high pressure. Like if you get a 10, like if you get like another cold air round, you put a 1047 high down. I mean, man, you are gonna get a 1047 high. Oof, that gives you an opportunity for something. So let's keep an eye. Let's keep an eye on this time frame. Let's keep an eye. There's models suggesting that high pressure is going to be here. We're going to have cold air in place potentially. Let's keep an eye on this time frame. This for this region, Northeast. Let's keep an eye. 14th, 14th to 17th. Let's keep an eye. It really could be 14th to 18th. Could be a couple different storms. Let's keep an eye. Direct weather said we would have 10 to 20 inches of snow for Christmas. Is that true? Um, direct no. Guys, direct weather gets paid for his thumbnails basically. Um, he does not he does not really he I'm telling you, there's no way he can tell me he cares about the forecast when you look at his thumbnails. He cares. He gets a lot of money every day. He's making money for you clicking on his video that is going to be wrong. I mean, I'm going to be wrong too, but at least I'm going to tell you why I'm wrong. He has all the great graphics and all that stuff, and this I've relayed this many times before, past years, but I don't do it on Twitter anymore. It's not worth it. Just not worth it. He actually deleted. I think he got so much. He had so many comments about this stuff that he deleted his Twitter, his X account, whatever. So he's no longer on there. Let's leave it here. Direct weather does not care about your forecast. I'm sorry. I think he likes the weather and makes a quick buck off it. He's got like over 240,000 subscribers now. Still gets like 20 to 30,000 views a video too. And the big ones, he'll get like 100,000+. Those winter outlooks, man. Oh boy, that's where he makes his money every year. Every year, make those winter outlooks. Just wasting your time watching that, I promise you. And it's not about him personally. It's not about him personally. It's about literally the stuff he's saying. The stuff he's saying and doing. It has nothing to do with him as a person. I don't know him as a person. You want to look at it? Look how much. Right. He's got 75 million views. He's now up to over 250,000 subscribers. He's probably making monthly. He's probably making 3 to 4K a month, at least. If I had to guess, he's probably making like 3 to 4K a month. Maybe like 2 to 4K a month. He's probably making 40, 50 grand a year off these videos. Just posting these like 10-minute things. For putting a hurricane with pretty colors over this area. It's literally what it, and that's it. Timed his ads perfectly too, specifically. You can just look at it. All this money. So respect to him. He knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. Look at this channel type. Entertainment. It's exactly what it is. I come off as petty here, but it's not. It's not. It's just for the truth. I don't. It does bother me a little bit. That's why I'm talking about it. But it doesn't affect me personally. It's just like it's just like I get bothered for the people that like view his content and then think like it's true. Because like the people like it's like dang, they love it. They love it. Like his base is like his subscriber base too. If you look at his comments, it's like damn. Yeah, he does run. It's I don't want to call him a scam, but he knows what he's doing. It's not like he's not hiding it. He's been doing it for like a decade now. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's profiting well off it. But if you like, they it falls off eventually. He's had the same amount of views on his videos now for a few years. Um, he really does. He's not really getting too much more than he has. He's like he was what 150K subscribers like a few years ago, and he's 100K more now. Like typically when you get that big, you start really expanding. Ryan Hall does great weather stuff. People give him crap, but he does great weather stuff. He's like an actual like enhancing the source and the experience for people. and he just keeps expanding. He's like over 2.5 million now. Like that's an example of it working. Whereas like that account was like 150K and then increasing. Or like Mitch West, for example. Like I talked to him and he said or he posted like 4 years ago he hit 1,000 subscribers. Now he's at 90,000 subscribers. Like channels that continuously put good content and they continue to grow. And then if you market it the right way too, then it continues to grow. That's kind of how it works. And so, hopefully we can get this. As long as you guys keep liking the stream, um, we can get there eventually. We can be big, and you guys can say you were the beginning. But it's not all about that. It would be awesome, but I really just enjoy doing this stuff. You guys know it. My core. I'm gonna be doing this anyways, so I'm like, might as well. If I'm gonna be this interested, might as well just share some of my thoughts with people. And it turns out some people like it. Um, Turns out 7,000 on Twitter and so far 334 here on YouTube. So hopefully we keep expanding. And I love interacting with you guys and just keep growing what we're doing here. The more you guys continue to show up, especially on YouTube, X. I love you guys too. You know that. But more you show up on YouTube, the more you like the stream, the more people get to subscribe, the more we can interact with each other. That's why I love answering questions, right? The more, right, the algorithm promotes it more, right? So we get more people, and I can talk to more people about the weather. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm here. So that's really why I love when you guys get going in the chat, because it gives me an opportunity to answer sincere questions you have, and get to the bottom. I'll help you, guide you in some of your weather questions versus like a direct weather is not going to be able to do the same that I do in terms of how in depth I can go. Again, I'm not a genius with the meter. There's way more people advanced with the knowledge, but I have enough where I can kind of explain what's going on from a little bit more of an in-depth scenario and keep it simplified because I learned it through a simplified sense. So it allows me to explain to you guys better, even though I don't use the perfect science all the time. So yeah. So we'll end it there. If you guys don't mind, again, leaving a like. If you're new, consider subscribing. And I appreciate everybody that came in. A great stream tonight, and we'll likely go live tomorrow night as well, likely. And I'll see you all then. I appreciate everybody that came in. Let's keep going.